Actually, I would like to use this opportunity to welcome our assembly and also to extend further words of greetings and welcome to the session chairman, Prof, and also to the organizers, conference organizers, and also my fellow presenters from all over the world. Good day. My name is Dano Lawal. Actually, my paper's title is Detecting Floods of Susceptible Areas Using a GIS-based Analytic Hierarchy Process Method. This is actually part of my ongoing research, though I did not make it peculiar to my study area. Rather, I decided to make it generic when considering some of the flood influencing factors, natural flood influencing factors, which might fit other study areas globally. The natural flood influencing factors I considered here are the annual rainfall, the capacity of the existing drainage, size of the watershed, land use, soil type, and slope. So, my presentation outline, first of all, under my presentation outline actually is the motivation. Why the motivation? Because I believe whatever one is going to do must have an iota of motivation in whatever. So what actually motivated me to be great on this research area? Then secondly is the background of the story, the problem statement, objectives, literature review, methodology adopted here, and also the result and the discussion. Then conclusion. Actually, these three issues motivated me to be great on this research area. First of all, are the floods that occurred towards the end of 2010 and 2011 in the study area of Paris, Malaysia. Then secondly are the land uses and the classes of activities taking place in the floodplain areas. Then also the alignment, the last but not the least, is the alignment and the persistent destruction of properties, displacement of people, and loss of lives. The background of the study, before I go into the background of the study, I'm going to make it snappy by defining what flood is all about and also what flash flood is all about. Actually, a flood is the overflow of water from a source, such as a river or a stream into a dry area. And I stand to be corrected. I believe flood to be just a natural phenomenon, just like rainfall, snow, and what have you. But it becomes catastrophic when it occurs in the urban areas. Why? Because water has its own channels inside you. But as a result of human activities, we tend to build on those channels, and without creating an alternative channel for the water to flow. Actually, these are the causes, or one of the causes of flood. Then on the other hand is the flash flood. A flash flood is a kind of flood that occurs all of a sudden as a result of a heavy and prolonged rainfall. So floods are classified according to their frequency and depth, such as the 10-year flood, 25-year flood, 50-year flood, as well as the 100-year flood. For instance, the 100-year flood, although it is less frequent than the 10-year flood, but it is far more destructive and more deeper than the 10-year flood. And actually, the first 100-year flood caused many confusions over the years. Many mistakenly believe it to be a kind of flood that occurs in every 100 years, which is wrong. Instead, it is a kind of flood that has 1% probability or chance of occurring in any given year. So to cut the story short, let me go into the background of the study. First of all, under the background of the study, I start by admitting that many countries, especially the developed and the developing countries, in which Malaysia is one of them, experiencing calamities, injuries, property damage, economic and social disruption as a result of flood. These are actually what due to the rapid increase in the human population, which escalated both the severity and the frequency of flood nowadays. Actually, flood has a special place in natural catastrophe. It also accounts for the 31% of the economic losses resulting from natural catastrophe. It is also the costliest type of natural catastrophe. It has been reported over 35 years in Malaysia that flood magnitude and frequency were tremendously triggered as a result of humankind activities, in which in many circumstances change in flood behavior. Activities actually in the floodplain areas such as the land clearing for agricultural purposes, urbanization, construction of infrastructural facilities such as roads, highways, bridges, and what have you, alter the flood magnitude. So actually what's going to be the panacea? Actually, in order to reduce the flood damages to the maximum, I propose to carry out a GIS-based analytic hierarchy process for the flood susceptible areas to predict for the presumptive flood areas around the study area. Why the flood susceptibility mapping? Actually, the flood susceptibility mapping will serve as a valuable tool to planners, insurance, and emergency services in assessing flood risks. Why? Because determining the areas at risk is quite imperative in giving flood warning information and also floodplain document control. Then the flood risk analysis actually is going to take into consideration all the flood influencing factors, settlement data, land cover data, transportation network data, as well as the socio-economic data, and categorizing the risk categories, in determining the risk categories such as the no risk, low risk, medium risk, and high risk. This actually is going to help in storing the flood vulnerable and risk-aware information into the decision support system of the government, which will in turn will provide some advantages to be able to answer some questions like how many areas are vulnerable, what amount of these areas belongs to the government or the judicial person, is there any area that can be extended by the strategy group, how much and what's going to be the need and the cost of moving through the non-vulnerable areas. So the problem statement. Actually, responses to flood disasters were mainly limited to implementing physical measures to control flooding, such as the construction of flood control works, dams, levees, seawalls, and also providing disaster relief assistance to the flood victims. But this approach doesn't seem to reduce damages caused due to flooding, neither did it discourage the unwise development taking place in the flood-prone areas. However, in recent years, responses based merely on flood control have been modified into a more integrated approach, including insurance, forecasting, warning and evacuation, and also land use planning. This approach is actually intended to reduce human vulnerability to flooding, instead of relying exclusively on the physical confrontation with flood events. So, also a report from the Department of Irrigation and Drainage Malaysia reported that about 29,000 kilometers of the total land and more than 4.82 million people are affected by flood annually. And the damages caused by flood are estimated to cost about $2,837 million US dollars, which is quite exorbitant. Then, for this reason, actually, therefore, for the reason that flood takes place across natural landforms, so there is an ultimate need for us to actually investigate and to analyze the natural flood influencing factors. Actually, these are the objectives of the research. Actually, to go ahead, as I did mention earlier, this work is part of the ongoing research. So the objectives are to identify the factors that causes flood, actually, to develop a flood susceptibility map, to develop a flood risk map, identify the potential areas and the potential damageable objects, and also to incorporate the ideation of the web-based GIS, to enable the web-based visualization of the final results, using a mashup to serve as an interface. So this is just a brief literature review, but the first also actually adopted the GIS-based multi-criteria evaluation method, where he was able to develop a flood susceptibility map for the study area of Hadija in Nigeria. And also the person who is a very popular personality in the area of multi-criteria-based evaluation method application into GIS in persons of Malwinsky. Actually, he spotlighted on the consistency on the five-web comparison method by saying that it is more appropriate if accuracy and theoretical foundations are the main concern. Then the fact also who is the pioneer of the analytic hierarchy profit method I adopted here in the person of Sachi in 1980, he also spotlighted on the consistency ratio by saying that the rule of thumb in the consistency ratio is actually that a consistency ratio less than or equal to 0.175 is acceptable level, while a consistency ratio greater than 0.175 is an acceptable consistency index. So therefore, for us, the expert is encouraged to make judgment on that value until it reaches exact level. So the research methodology, the study methodology, first of all, is identifying the problems. The problem was identified from previous literature and expert brainstorming with experts in the hydrology and hydraulics. The secondly is identifying the flood influencing factors. After numerous literature review, the flood influencing factors were identified. Then the last one is actually a few questionnaires were administered. And the input obtained from those experts were further used in the carrying out the five-web comparison method. The materials used is the analytic hierarchy process method, which is a multi-criteria-based evaluation method. Actually, it involves the use of different criteria for the multi-criteria-based evaluation. Then the geographic information system, which is a system for capturing, storing, analyzing, managing, and presenting data and associated attributes, which are specially referenced to the Earth. So these are the steps I followed in getting the result of this analysis. Actually, first of all, is stating the problem. Secondly, is determining the hierarchy structure of the problem at various levels, including the goal, criteria, sub-criteria, and alternatives, keeping in view determining the objectives and its outcome. Then the third one is comparing each element in the corresponding level and calibrate them on the numerical five-web comparison scale. elements of your problem here are compared in pairs with respect to their relative impact on the properties they share in common. Then the fourth one actually is performing computations to calculate the maximum agent value, consistency index, consistency ratio, and normalized value for each criteria. Now the last but not the least is if there is any matrix with an acceptable consistency ratio, then the expert is still required to make judgment on that value. This is the brief skeleton of the. So the consistency ratio, actually, these are the formulas I use in getting the consistency ratio. Then these are the results. Why the most important part of this bias comparison method, it will give us an opportunity to compare the importance of two criteria at a time. So this is one of the, so it lies within a reasonable level of 0.09. The conclusion, I start by affirming that detecting the flaws of successful areas is quite imperative in determining areas that are likely to get flooded and also areas that are also influence blend of domain control. As I did mention earlier, this research is part of the ongoing project. So actually, the next result, which is going to be in map format after integration with GIS, will serve as a valuable tool to planners, insurance, and emergency services in assessing flood risk. So what happened here actually, at this phase of the research, the pilot comparison method was designed using the analytic hierarchy process method, and also the priority weights were actually calculated, which shows C1 as annual rainfall, C2 as the capacity of the existing drainage to be the most significant impact that causes flood. Okay, my references.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Are there any questions? We have about 1 or 2 minutes, and that's it. But we can take a question. Yes? No? No questions? Okay, we're ready for the next person. Thank you very much.
Okay.